The theme for the month of April is a giant gentleness, and we are learning that gentleness is a powerful force inside each and every one of us. But all of us have to decide how generous we will allow ourselves to be with our inner gentleness. So the question today is, how gentle are you with life? How gentle are your relationships with others? How gentle are you with the people you call your family and friends? Now, I guess if I asked you that question, most of you would say something like, well, it depends on how gentle they are with me. If they are gentle, I will be gentle. And if they're not, then don't expect me to be doing all this gentleman stuff. Am I right? But remember that I teach constantly. A regular message here is that we are reflections of each other. As we cultivate gentleness for ourselves, we begin to recognize love expressing itself through others in our lives. But until we learn to love and be gentle with ourselves, it's often quite challenging to find people to surround ourselves with and get close to, with whom to cultivate a gentle relationship. Does that kind of ring true? Sometimes it's hard to find that. So here's the deal. We only feel comfortable with people that we find relatable. So you've heard the saying, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that tends to be pretty true. And we tend to hang on the path of people who feel familiar and easy to understand, those with the same feathers, so to speak. But what happens when we start growing new and different kinds of feathers? Our feathers change over our lifetimes, don't they? You know, sometimes the birds around us no longer think like we do, or act like we do, or find things interesting and entertaining like we do. And over our lifetimes, we learn that sometimes we pass through a person's life quickly as we grow and learn and change feathers. And sometimes relationships stick with us, either growing with us or continuing to show us our unhealed aspects. Sometimes I think we keep people around who remind us of who we used to be or how we still need to grow. Either way, what I do believe is that we draw to ourselves the very perfect people that help us do that growing and learning and feathering, right? So today I want to make the case for gentleness as a spiritual practice in your relationships. And I especially want to explore the importance of gentleness in friendships. And I don't find myself teaching that many lessons about friends, specifically about friends and spirituality, but today I'm going to. And to illustrate the points I want to make, I'm actually going to use my long relationship with Cheryl Chandler. And she doesn't know I'm doing this today. You may or may not know that Cheryl and I have been friends for 40 years.
Wow.
Last fall,
I have stories.
she does have stories. Last fall, we actually marked that 40-year date of knowing each other, because on a fall afternoon in 1983, we met as she, as a high school senior, came to visit the college where I was a rising junior. And we ended up going to that same college. I was about to be a junior when we met, and she was about to join as a freshman 40 years ago. So if my calculations are right, I think I was 20 and she was 18 or something like that. And over those 40 years, our connection has looked a lot of different ways. But here we are, all these years later, about to turn 60. Thank you very much. And 58. And here is what I know. What I know is we only got this far due to a shared value of gentleness. We actually share many values, but for our lesson, I just want to focus on gentleness for now. And what I want to say is that when you start on a journey with someone at age 20 or 18, basically you're signing up for some growing up lessons together. You know, we may have thought we knew some things at those ages when we met, but it didn't take very long to realize we didn't know nothing. We know nothing. And I don't care who you are at age 20 and 18, you know nothing. You know nothing. And we were not exceptions. So Cheryl and I pretty much did all of our growing up together. We've done all of our adulting. Or I say to my daughter, we commit adultery. We commit adulting. We did this on a shared path because we were like each other's witnesses, a friend and life companion, and we supported each other through all of it. And we did it all gently, at least most of the time. So the first thing we learned together was how to have fun. Now, we did all the college stuff. That's where the stories come in. And we had, new experiences. We did spring breaks. We traveled. We experimented, all that stuff. And sometimes we learned that we might not define fun the same way as each other. And we had to do some of our favorite activities separately. And sometimes we both agreed that we would never try that again, whatever that And as I stand here on a broken ankle, I recalled that she was actually witness to my very first broken bone, my wrist, on a slippery rock at a park in Georgia when I was like 22 or something like that. I broke my right wrist, and it was Cheryl who drove me to urgent care that time. So as we got a bit older, we learned how to live together, and we had pets together. And one awful day, I made the mistake of not putting our dog on a leash, and she was hit by a car. And somehow through all of the tears, she forgave me, and we learned to go through really hard stuff and tragic things in life. I can't look at you. And as we got older, we witnessed each other deciding to have children. So even though we lived in different states at the time, we did our parenting journeys together. She was actually in the waiting room when Kelsey was born. And we supported each other through all the decisions that come with raising daughters of this generation. And we also learned about our children together as we both went through divorces from our co-parents. And recently we've been sharing the journey of our children redefining themselves as queer, non-gender conforming, and all the stuff that this generation is grappling with. And Cheryl and I talk about all of that stuff a lot. And those have been some gentle conversations for sure. And we've witnessed everything together. She was saying the other day that she realizes that all of the big moments in life, we were there together. So we've witnessed each other buying and selling houses. We've helped each other pack to move from state to state. We've cheered each other in our careers and celebrated the milestones and commiserated over the challenges of working in corporate environments. And we witnessed each other actually deciding to change careers. I changed from higher education administration to ministry, and she changed from working for IBM and all the management and all that to the animal world. She worked at the zoo and veterinary clinical management. So I've watched her change her career and evolve too. And we've traveled near and far together. Sometimes we did it by ourselves. Last year she was with the big group that went to Africa. And we shared so many birthday cakes and so many margaritas, actually, that we couldn't even count. We couldn't count it. And we're currently learning about being daughters of aging mothers, too, and loving each other through the big changes that are happening and they're still going to be unfolding for our moms in the years to come. Gentleness. Gentleness is what we need. And the medicine I'm taking makes me very thirsty, sorry. And we have gained and lost so many pounds together. One of my favorite stories is one time we decided that we would do Weight Watchers together. So, go to the meetings together, and you count the points together, and you keep each other accountable. And we vowed we were going to read all the materials, and we were going to follow the guidelines and follow all the steps. And so I think it was at the second group meeting, and we're sitting and waiting for things to get started and everything. And she's looking through the booklets, and she whispered to me, "When were we supposed to start exercising?" And my lightning quick response was, "At birth." We could barely get ourselves pulled together for the meeting. We were just still dying, laughing, crying. So we had to tell the whole group because they knew something was hysterical. So the bottom line is Cheryl and I have been through a lot. And we are lifelong friends. And we've given each other that gift. And we've learned all the life lessons in each other's lives. And in order to have a lifelong friendship with anyone, you must live gently with each other on the path. And basically you have to do everything gently. I want to point some of those things out. One very necessary thing in an important connection is to hold opinions and judgments gently. So throughout the years, there have been times when we had concerns about the path one or the other was on, and the choices they were making, the path they were taking, whatever, the relationships that were forming, or the moves they were making, the risks they were taking, whatever. And we're the kind of friends who actually express our opinions and judgments out loud to each other. But we have also had to eat our words from time to time. And it turns out, even as well as we know each other, we never have enough information to make informed choices for the other. We've learned to ask for each other's opinions, and when asked, voice them gently, express our concerns and our hopes, and then back off and see how it all plays out. We're always sitting ready to celebrate when things turn out well, and we provide Kleenex when things don't turn out so well. And gently or not, we never ever say, I told you so. Never. Another thing we've learned to do gently together is disagree. We definitely don't always agree. How things are supposed to happen, or when things are supposed to happen, or why even things are supposed to happen or don't happen. But to keep our connection strong, we've learned to get out of the way and let go of our need to be right and our need to be understood, and instead seek to understand the other's viewpoints. And we have found out that we have to inspire and encourage each other gently too. Now, you would think you could do that with all your heart and mind. You're encouraging them, right? Yeah, no. Do it gently. Because you see, Cheryl found this philosophy in Science Mind before me. She found it a long time before I did, years before I did. And I've shared the story that one time she called me and asked me if she could do a spiritual mind treatment for me. I think she was in one of her spirituality classes when you're supposed to do an affirmative prayer. And she explained that it was affirmative prayer. And I agreed she could pray for me, but I thought she was nuts. And she encouraged me, yeah, totally, you're nuts, whatever. Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead. She encouraged me to try the center back then, and I had wanted nothing to do with it, nothing. But she did it in such a gentle way that I wasn't turned off completely. But I still had no interest in going, no matter how many times she thought that I would like it and needed it. So when I found the Science of Mind, when I found the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle several years later, and I was taking a class and they were talking about these words I had heard before, spiritual mind treatment, I'm like, this is what Cheryl was talking about. And she was one of the first people I called, and we had this great laugh. That now I'm nuts too. And from that phone call on, we have always had spirituality as a part of our conversations about life. And we're both spiritual seekers, and we gently offer a higher spiritual perspective whenever we're talking about something, or even a higher, just an inspiring perspective, kind of nudging each other back on the spiritual path when we can, gently. And through it all, we've held our committed intention of holding on to our lifelong friendship. And several years ago, that commitment was tested mightily. We had reached an impasse over a situation, and we were kind of lost in the weeds of it. We were miles apart logistically and emotionally, and the months were kind of passing by. We weren't speaking, and I was truly afraid that our friendship had been completed, because sometimes that happens, you know. But in that troubling time, we learned one of the biggest lessons that must be learned if you're going to keep a friend for more than 40 years, and that is, we learned the power of taking responsibility for our words and our actions, apologizing, learning the power of that, and also forgiving and allowing the other person to experience that forgiveness and grace. And we've been working diligently ever since, and always will, to keep our trust in whole. And we had to go through that hard situation with the intention, verbalized intention, of maintaining this valuable connection and growing together. And we had to ignore everyone else's opinion that was involved in the impasse and their influence, and we had to choose each other once again, and we had to go through it gently, and here we are today. And I truly think it was our spiritual connection that helped us. Prayer helped us, love helped us, and it helped us recommit to doing whatever work it took to continue on our shared path, because what we have is a very, very rare gift. Few people have it, a lifelong connection. And I believe it is a spiritual union that we share. And Krishna in the Hindu writings would agree, and this is what he said. This is Hindu. When a person responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were his own, he has attained the highest state of spiritual union. And I believe that's what we have. I think her joys are my joys and my pain is her pain and vice versa. And actually one of mine and Terry's shared values is this ability and value of lifelong friendships. So if you were at our wedding, you might have remembered there was an oldest friend toast with Terry's friend, Terry Neal. And I believe they've been friends since Terry was in middle school, something like that. So she beat Cheryl out for that title by kissing And when Terry and I were talking last week about this gift we both have in these two friends, we agreed that one of the things that holds things together is gentleness. Honesty, yes, but gentle honesty, compassionate honesty. So can you think about your own long connections, your own long friendships? Can you see that gentleness is a part of them? Where some connections were shorter lived, may not have had that quality, right? So author John Donahue writes about something called anamkara in a book by the same name, and this is what he writes. It's not on the screen, it's too long. He writes this. In the Celtic tradition, there is a beautiful understanding of love and friendship. One of the fascinating ideas here is the idea of soul love. And the old Gaelic term for this is anam cara. Anam meaning soul and cara meaning friend. Anam cara, soul friend. In everyone's life, there's a great need for an anam cara, a soul friend. In this kind of love, you are understood as you are, without mask or pretension. The superficial and functional lies and half-truths of social acquaintance fall away. You can be who you really are. Love allows understanding to dawn, and understanding is precious. Where you are understood, you are at home. The anamkara experience opens a friendship that is not wounded or limited by separation or distance. Such friendship can remain alive even when the friends live far away from each other, because they have broken through the barriers of persona and egoism to the soul level. The unity of their souls is not easily severed. When the soul is awakened, physical space is transfigured. Even across the distance, two friends can stay attuned to each other and continue to sense the flow of each other's lives. With your anamkara, you awaken the eternal. I feel that, right? Isn't that a lovely concept, this anamkara or soul friend? You know, Ernest Holmes actually wrote a lot about the power of relationships and allowing the God within to flow out to meet the God in others. He writes this, when we let the love that is within us go out to the God who is in all people, then we are loving God with all our heart and with all our soul and mind, because we are recognizing that the spirit within us is the same spirit that we meet in others. This is loving our neighbors as ourselves. Oh, take that in. So what I believe is that here in this community, we cultivate these anamkara connections with each other. You know, here we work to break through the barriers that our personalities and egos build to protect us from others, right? We are awakening to the love that we are at the deepest level, and we're allowing ourselves to be seen. Here we're reminded that the love within us, we need to let that see the God in everyone else. Here we are loving each other as our neighbors. And today I shared my experience with Cheryl to illustrate the idea that when we share another person's values, when we witness another person working towards goals and encourage them, when we seek to understand another person and commit to working through whatever troubles that may arise, you're actually gifting yourself just as much as you're giving to that other person. But all of it must be supported with gentleness. Gentleness is godness, and it is available in all of us. And I want to close with a writing I found several years ago by a fellow minister, Reverend Bob Lukin. And I want you to, as I read it, just kind of bring to mind someone who has blessed your life as you listen to these words, and know that I share this poem with Cheryl today, yes, but actually my heart shares it with all of you in this community. And here's what he wrote. It's titled, If Not For You. If not for you, there would be a place of emptiness in the heart of God. If not for you, all the good that you have done would still need doing. If not for you, the spark of your ideas would not have ignited a fire in others. If not for you, the key roles that you have played in life's drama would remain unfilled. If not for you, at least one person would not have awakened to his or her dreams. If not for you, your triumphs could not be examples to inspire others. If not for you, someone who needed love would not have received it. If not for you, life would have been shortened or never existed. If not for you, the song of life would have missed a beat. If not for you, your gifts would remain ungiven. If not for you, another might have suffered in your place. If not for you, someone would have no path to follow. If not for you, there would be one less smile, one less laugh, and one less hug. If not for you, there would be less mystery. If not for you, an animal might be homeless and a garden left unplanted. If not for you, something would be missing. You have always made a difference. Who you are is important every day. You are the face, the heart, and the soul of God. So I invite you to gently embrace these words into your soul and see yourself as worthy of gentleness and love. Will you pray with me? Just take a deep breath. A deep, gentle breath. And here is what I know. What I know is that love is gentle. Love is compassionate and kind. And that each person on the path with us is there on purpose. And if we can extend the God in us gently toward everyone we meet, we are a blessing and are blessed. And I know that the path before us opens to an anamkara friendship all the time. We just need to choose to take it. And so I know we are all blessed with gentleness today. And so it is. And so